What happens when a group of unlucky doctors choose the wrong subject to scheme? That's right, John Kramer himself. My name's Chad Ryan. Welcome to Press for Time, and let's get right into a review of Saw X. But first, spoilers ahead. Saw X is the direct sequel to Saw 1, where we see John Kramer, aka Jigsaw himself, attempting to go through essentially help with his cancer. He has uncurable brain cancer, and so he ends up going and he finds a cancer group where they talk and they sit there and they talk about it. Well, essentially he meets this one person who ends up telling him, hey, there's this place and these doctors. It's unknown where they're at, but they reach out to you. All you have to do is send them an email, and essentially they cured my cancer. Sparked to interest, he's like, I'm so many years old, but I have so much more left to live for and so much more to do and so many more people to cure. So he ends up emailing them, gets an email back, and obviously, realistically, they have a plan for him that he doesn't quite know yet about. John ends up going to Mexico, where he meets these doctors. He goes to their place of stay, and he even goes into their operating room where he looks and they draw blood from him, yada, 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 you know the most part. He gets the surgery done, his head's wrapped up, he's laying there, they're like, congratulations, John, you get to have the rest of your life now. What are you going to do? Essentially, it's a happy moment until he goes to the liquor store because he wants to give them a thank you gift, or he ends up going back to the place of surgery and it's abandoned. But what's going on? Where is everybody? He gets mad as he notices that he was just conned out of so much money. There's a list of around 32 different people that were cured. And guess what? They messed with the wrong person. Your boy John Kramer, along with the return of Amanda and an off-screen return of Hoffman, go and they do their business. They rile up all these doctors and they get right to work. Now, in most horror films, you don't side with the villain or the anti-hero or whatever you would like to call them. Whatever you think John Kramer lies as. He's not a killer. He's not a villain. He lets people decide if they want to escape their trap and essentially get off of their bad habits or if they're going to relapse and lose their life. Live or die. The choice is yours. Now, this film made me feel a certain way about this villain once again that I've never felt for a villain once again. John Kramer was the good guy, but you're like, wait a minute. He's putting all these people in traps. He's doing all this. Yeah, but he's giving people a way of redemption. These doctors, on the other hand, are scamming people of thousands upon thousands of dollars. And guess what? John's not going to have it anymore. John's not going to let them take the last bit of hope. And take in mind, hope is the big thing. Hope is what they, prey on as they tell them, hey, you're going to live. What's the worst that's going to happen? You can be cured. You can live with your family. You can go on in life. This film developed Amanda like I've never taken light to this character. In Saw 2, you didn't like her. She was just, ugh. And so on. Until her future demise, which happens due to a gun and her mistakes. But in this film, it really tells how she goes back and forth and how she kind of empathizes with certain people and hates other people and how she doesn't quite treat everything fairly, but she's learning. Throughout this entire film, John really does take her as a daughter. He's really teaching her the ways and how she will be his only successor. Or at least that's what she thinks. If you watch the future films, you understand that. But the biggest thing about this is the dynamic between Amanda and John, once again, is immaculate. It's the most great team up ever. From one being just sheer don't do it, Amanda. And she's struggling and she wants to do it, but he's just like, no matter what happens, it'll pan out. Everything will be okay. You will be okay. We will survive. And it really, obviously, we know what happens, and eventually John Kramer dies, and eventually Amanda dies, and how Amanda essentially dies because she doesn't follow the rules, And we know that John doesn't get out without the cancer, and he dies to it. But the best part is when you watch this film, you forget that. Usually I go into a film and I'm like, oh, how's this going to happen? You forget everything. You live in the moment of this film. These traps are insane. Like, from every trap, from the eyeball sucker to the bandsaw to every trap. There's a blood waterboard one that I don't want to say. I'll let you guys get to that. But it's so crazy and so emotional. And you see that John truly cares about other people. There's a little boy named Carlos that John throughout the film shows that he has compassion towards people who have the will to live, that want to be happy, that are less fortunate than others. He gives them all the money in the end. And the fact that John, you thought, was going to die in the game defending this boy, there's just such a twist to this film. And there is a post-credit scene. I do want to say that there is a post-credit scene. And guess what? It brings you right back to that one iconic place. And obviously Hoffman's in it. But it's just such a great touch. And I got to say, usually the heroes of the story, usually those characters that you're like, are they going to get out? You want them all to die in this film. Every single one of them. From Dr. Cecilia all the way down to Gabriella. It's insane how these people play with his emotions and play with his heart and play with his mind and make John Kramer feel a certain way. Just for them all to fall to their demise. And I gotta say, these traps have got to be top 4 movies. Right in there with Saw 3, right in there with Saw 4, and it's crazy. Honestly, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna go see it again this weekend again, but it is definitely a 12 out of 10 film, and I gotta say, if you're a fan of horror films, if you're a fan of Saw, this has gotta be in the top 2. The only one that this honestly can rival is Saw 1. It's that good of a film. And honestly, if this would have came out before Saw 2, it would have had more development, as we do know that the Saw films go back and forth and have flashbacks and whatnot. But this film truly, truly, truly made you care about Tobin Bell, a.k.a. John Kramer, a.k.a. Jigsaw, and gave it more of a light that he was more of a person that really wasn't doing bad, but doing the work that had to be done. My name's Chad Ryan. Hope you enjoy this small review. Obviously, I gave you a little bit of spoilers, but I'm not going to spoil the whole thing for you because you got to see this film in theaters to experience this amazing phenomenon, which is the Saw series. I'll catch y'all later. Have a great rest of your night.